It's the morning of December 22nd, 2017, and we have success. So the motor and transmission came out, actually easier than I thought. Came together, and this is probably the first time in my life that I have not spilled transmission fluid. So I've tried it a couple times, and the drive shaft always comes unhooked, but I actually bungee corded the drive shaft to the transmission, and we have no spillage. So very happy. Came out very easy. The motor mounts looked like they were toast because they came out in pieces, but besides one or two little snipples, I actually got everything unhooked. So now we gotta put this away, isolate the fuel system because I had to cut that. So get that all unhooked and capped off at the tank so I can start cleaning and cutting. This is right after the engine was pulled, so it's still dirty. I'm going to peel back some of the stuff that is Miata and that will not be used, and then I will push it outside this morning or after lunch, start doing some power washing because it needs to be cleaned. And then, being the geek that I am, I'm going to stick my LS block with the automatic transmission in just to see how things fit, because I want to know as soon as possible what more we have to play with, but right now everything looks great. So it's after lunch, and we've finished cleaning up the frame and the front end of the car. Looks a lot better. Got all the oil off, all the grease off. I don't know, but sometime it had an oil leak on the passenger side of the car because the hole underneath is oil too. We'll worry about that later. But right now the area we're going to play with is nice and clean. We also cleaned up some of the other parts that are going to go on Craigslist. So the front fascia is clean now. The hood, one of the fenders, and of course we went around and got both doors. It's December 27th, 2016, so I didn't do any filming beforehand because this is pretty much where I left off on the last video. So what I've done today is pretty much just take the dash out, and as you can see, all the wiring harness is out. And spent the morning measuring and figuring out where everything goes and understanding. So this is what I did after lunch. Pulled the dash out, put all the wiring harness out, looked at how the HVAC system was put together. So we took that all apart and put it on the shelf. So it's ready to reuse in the Astre when we get that set back in. And just spending a lot of time understanding where the floor pan is, and the cowl, and the firewall between the two cars. The two cars are pretty much lined up, front wheel center line, which is all we're really worried about right now. And the biggest thing that I see right now is that the firewall on the Astre, when you use the Miata, moves back a good 2 inches, which I don't think is a big deal. Gives a little less foot room in the Astre, but because it is a 2+2 and has a back seat, they can move the seats back a little bit farther. So the center line of the Miata to the back of the firewall is right at 15 inches. The center of the line on the Astre to 15 inches is back into the cowl. So really the firewall is probably at about 12 inches. This just wraps over a lot. So it'll probably move back, like I said, a good 2 to 3 inches, which just makes more room for the engine. Sets the engine and transmission farther back into the chassis on the Astre. This is where I've been spending a lot of time today, is measuring floor pans and the passenger compartment, but also where the structure is in the car. So the biggest, not concern, but wanted to make sure the car is as strong or stronger than the Astre originally was, which I think it will be because the standards on this 96 are a lot more than they were in 1976. So we're planning to use right back into here, right up to the front of the hood or the door hinges. And that width, because this sticks way out because of the cowl box, that width in there is very, very similar. So I think if we do make that decision tomorrow, we'll go ahead and pull this panel off, that cowl box panel, and measure it, because tomorrow we are going to pull the engine out now, so that'll make things a lot easier to start measuring this one just like I have been measuring on the Miata. The other thing we plan on doing too is pulling all the interior out, because it is in such good shape that we pull the material or the interior out and he takes that back to his house and protects it, because with all the cutting and grinding we're going to do, we don't need anything in here. So we'll tape up the windshields and all of that, and also of course take the dash out and all the wiring harness and the carpet. So hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow this will be pretty close to just a bare shell on the inside. That way it's a lot safer for the car and it's a lot easier to put back together. So today is Friday, December 29th. Yeah, that'll work. 2017, and we are removing the interior from the Astre. So got the door panel off, just the basic stuff right now, getting the seats out. We'll get the carpet out and then we'll start working on the dash and the console. The seat placement in the new floor pan, if we use it, for the Pontiac seats, I was a little concerned about because the width and the transmission tunnel is wider on the Miata. So we will measure out to the sills, which seems to be pretty close, and the seat does seem to fit. So the rear seat mounts are lined up with where they would be in the Miata. And you actually have room for the console on this side. So it's a little after lunch, December 29th, 2017. We are making some progress on the dash. So I think this is a lot easier to take apart than the Miata was. Only found one dead rodent so far, so that was a good thing. Bottom right corner, when you pulled the glove box out, there was a dead mouse in there, but got the console out. That was pretty easy. Just taking the dash apart now and labeling things, because could be 6 months or so before it goes back together, but hopefully it's quicker than that. Took a few minutes, but we have the dash out now, so all I have to do is unhook a few wires and we can pull the wiring harness out for the dash and the engine compartment. Pull out the heating ducts, and tomorrow we'll go ahead and pull the rest of the interior out, get that ready to go home and put away safe at Bubba's house. We'll get the shifter out, put that away here, because we're going to try to reuse that. It's December 30th, 2017, and get a little bit more work done this morning. So the HVAC system is completely out of the car, so the dash is basically stripped underneath. Nice naked dash. So we'll work our way around, get all the final bits and pieces off. We're going to leave the steering column in for now just so that we can roll the car around, but we'll eventually take that off. So next is shifter, door panels, some trim. We'll start going backwards. It's the end of the workday on December 30th, 2017. Bubba got him back on the road to his house. It's about a 3-hour drive, so we made good progress today. The motor and transmission is gone. You can, I'll take some more video of the, get some good light on that in a minute and take some pictures of it, because it is even worse than we thought. So we were successful in removing all of the interior, all the way through the headliner, every piece of trim. Just started at the front of the car and worked to the back. This is a very solid car. We did not find but a couple tiny pieces of minor surface rust, top or bottom. So besides the area up front, this is a very solid car. Just to bring everybody up to speed on what we decided. So we spent the morning and the afternoon BSing around different ideas, and we have decided to do option 2. So we are going to put the entire front sheet metal, subframe, all the sheet metal from the Miata and the floor pan up to behind the driver's seat into the Pontiac. Just from suspension geometry, it's wider, it's a bigger engine compartment, and it's going to be a lot safer. We talked about rebuilding the area on the Astre, but still you have all kinds of other issues. We also are going to do the V8 Roadsters, is the name of the subframe. They make a bolt-in subframe that improves the geometry, but makes it a lot easier to put headers and everything else. So we can put the engine and transmission where we want it. So we're going to go ahead and do that for $700. It's a heck of a lot cheaper than cutting the factory one and doing all the work from that. The car will go from a torque arm to a triangulated 4-link, probably with coilovers in the back, and it's also going to be tubbed so that we can run somewhere between a 295 and 305. We're going to mock up a couple different tires and see what size works best for it, and what we can get in the different sizes. The other thing that we have to do is we're probably going to go with a narrowed S10 rear end or an 8.8 out of a Ford. So we want to go 5 lugs. So we're going to have to figure out what we can do on the front of the Miata suspension to turn that into a 5 lug. Either we drill it or we find something that the hubs or something like that will bolt up or make an easy interchange so that we can go 5 lug on the front and match the bolt pattern for the rear. So that is the wrap up for today. I will go ahead and post this video and hopefully have it out after 4th of July. Yeah, way before then. For probably January 2nd, January 3rd. So between now and then, I'll continue working on this and we'll post more videos. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thanks a lot.